Hey, AJ, we're live. Do you remember Richard who made uh if it was it what's the
To the
studio name?
top?
Red Chain Games? No, no, it's a different
Oh,
Richard. That's R Matey, right? Um no,
yeah.
this is the Richard who made Boxed In. Remember? He made that?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. He sent me a message today, and we're just shooting the shit, and he sent me a trailer for a game called Boxed Out, which looks shockingly similar to Boxed In. It's basically he had to change the name of it when he ported it to Quest. And so, dude, for anyone out there who doesn't know, Boxed In, awesome first person block following puzzle game. It had aim support, but the cool thing about it was that there was Game Cat Island, right? He had this whole hidden mode, whole hidden area, all these inside jokes. It had me, AJ, and Dave depicted as cats. Tons of inside jokes on this special little island. We always said that jetpacks make every game better, so he added a jetpack to Game Cat Island with like time trials and all that stuff. Insane. Might be better than the actual game itself, right? Um, Dude, Game Cat Island is on the Quest version.
That's awesome. I actually just like brought this game up again recently because I was transferring files from my old PC to my new one, and I was transferring pictures, and I saw that and I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm in a video game as a cat."
Yeah.
Like that's that's awesome, man. Like it's and then I was also reminded of my famous quote that Richard so lovely made a poster and sent
Uh-huh.
it to me, and it was like I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this was going to be trash, and I'm like, I'm such an asshole. Like,
Nope.
like
No, dude, we love you for your honesty, and so a lot of games look like trash. I don't. It sounds
yeah.
like you were wrong on that. We were all pleasantly surprised by that one. Anyway, if you all get a quest, make sure you go check out Boxed Out and try to figure out how to get to Game Cat Island. I've got a video up, which I think explains how to get there. So let me know if you're gonna pick it up
and
and you want
and
to
then
find out.
give Brian, me, and Dave Station some scritchies.
Uh, and also, I think we should bug Richard for a PSVR2 port. I mean, it's got Game Cat Island in it. It seems like a PSVR2
Yeah,
game, you know?
yeah. It's
Okay.
also got a pineapple with sunglasses riding a unicorn. So there's
It
that.
does. There's so many inside jokes I can't even figure them all out anymore.
I know. I was trying to remember that one. Anyways, let's get going, Brian.
Let's go. This is PSVR Gamescast Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Hours Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live at 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. But don't worry. We know sometimes you're driving a car or you're sitting at your desk at work and you just need a little oral pleasure. That's why our good friend RidePop puts this thing up on podcast services of your choice. And of course, Rody puts timestamps into the show after the fact. So if you don't like hanging out, listening to long conversations that we're not really sure what you're doing here, but we're happy that you're here. There'll be timestamps later for you. My name is Brian Fall from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole. And this gentleman over here to my left, to your right, is AJ from the Underground, PSVR Underground.
What is up, Brian? What is up, Game Cats? Happy Monday, everybody. And I know that Mondays usually suck. Yes, it is true. But we are here, Brian. You know why?
Wish Game Cat Behemoth a happy fucking birthday!
To wish Game Cat Behemoth a happy birthday. That is right. Happy birthday, Game Cat Behemoth. Yeah, man. Gonna be a good day today. I can feel it in the air tonight.
I feel like, dude, sometimes you have moments like that and you're like, why do people fucking tolerate us? Like, it's so annoying.
They like the chaos.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we hope your Mondays suck just a little bit less. We hope
Thank
that
you, man.
happens. Well, sometimes
You know.
AJ, we've been married so long. Sometimes we just finish each other's sentences. Oh man, AJ, what have you been up to, man? It's been I like don't even feel like we did this last week. Did we do this last week? We did do this last week.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah. What have you been up to since then? Anything good?
I am back to living in No Man's Sky.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that the latest Worlds 2 update dropped. And yeah, man, I spent a lot of hours in that this weekend. And not only playing that, but with my Haptics vest that is probably still in the box for you. I love No Man's Sky with the haptic vest. That is really a cool accessory. It's a shame it's so expensive because that thing is so freaking quality. Like the build, the battery life, the feeling of it, all the things. So good. But yeah, man. And I had heard some, you know, here's my 30-second review on No Man's Sky Worlds Part 2 is holy shit, the stuff that they are doing in that is amazing. And if that's any sign, which it is, as to what is to come for Light No Fire, Brian.
Light No Fire.
Thank you. Then yeah, man, it's just amazing what they're doing. Another massive update. That's a big overhaul. Now, disclaimer, there are a couple issues with it. So I do think we may need to wait. I think it's best to maybe wait for like 1 or 2 more patches. Nothing regarding deleted saves. I don't even know if that was actually a thing.
But I think I might have accidentally said deleted saves on a GAMESCAST when I meant to say deleted inventory.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I've been bombarded.
I apologize.
I've been bombarded with this. I'm like, no, there's no deleted saves.
People watch this?
Yeah, people do.
Oh
And
shit!
then
I should probably get my facts straight. Oh shit!
But anyways, I'll forgive you this time. Slandering
Thanks.
my wonderful No Man's Sky. But no.
But even you say you should hold off for wait for a couple patches. Okay,
yes.
just making sure.
They've added deep ocean planets, like legitimately like super deep, 1,700 feet down planets. But they're a little bit bugged right now visually. They're basically unplayable. Everything else is working fine, but this is like one of the main new attractions. And you know, it's like, yeah, you don't want to go to a new event and the main new opening attraction is not there. So just wait a little bit longer. Wait for them to fix the visual issues with the ocean patch. And as soon as they say that, they give the green light, like hop in, man, because holy shit, it is just this game is just incredible. The way it keeps growing and expanding and keeps me coming back for more. So yeah, I played some of that and some Vendetta Forever as well.
Oh, wait, Vendetta Forever. Is that the End Dreams one?
It's a game that really needs more attention. It deserves more attention.
Sure.
But yeah, it's basically replaced Super Hot. So if you're a fan of Super Hot and you need something to scratch that itch, there is literally nothing better on the platform than Vendetta Forever if you need a new Super Hot game. It is so much fun.
That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear because they didn't get review keys to me, and then when when I finally picked it up, it was like there's just so much other stuff going on. So I only get to spend like maybe like an hour with it at best to be able to talk about it on GamesCast one day, and haven't really had a chance to get back to it. But I can see how it's like a more advanced Super Hot, right? Because they add the added teleportation mechanic to it. You're not just standing in one place the whole time.
Yeah. It is very evolved from that and has a little bit more going on graphically, gameplay wise. You know, it's got like one-on-one duels where you have to, it counts down from 3 and then you turn around and you have one bullet to take out, the opposition. And just like all these different modes, like escape modes, don't shoot casualties, and like all sorts of mechanics that just, yeah, it is really good, really great.
While it is now GameCast, specifically White Tiger with the Canadian $2 tips, has anyone else noticed that GT7 looks better on PSVR2 than it used to? I guess he's saying, not better than like PSVR1. I haven't noticed. Anyone else notice?
I've been hearing rumblings of this. I haven't checked it out myself, but I think it'd be kind of hard for me to tell because 2 reasons. Number one, different levels look different in that game. Some levels look really clear, have like better clarity than others. Others have like, pop in. And yeah, they just all look different. So it's kind of hard to tell. There's a little inconsistency with the clarity in that game. And also it just looks great to begin with. Like I know it can look better but to me, it's always looked fantastic. So, yeah, they're like I said, there's little parts here and there. Some places, some levels look better than others, but
Yep.
it might be kind of hard for me to tell if I jumped in because it's always looked really good, anyways.
Yeah, Gran Turismo was one of those games that it didn't. The reprojection didn't seem to bother me that much, right? Because you're basically going, like forward the whole time, and I just didn't really notice it as much as I did in something like, say, like Horizon Call of the Mountain or Hubris. Those games that really stood out to me. So I don't know if Wally is talking about specifically about the Pro version, which obviously now has the different type of reprojection implemented, which is better, but still has its own set of issues.
I think they're talking about the base version is what
Okay.
people are noticing, but I've only seen like 2 or 3 people ask about it saying they think, so it just could be one of those things where maybe it looked better than what you thought it did,
Yeah, I always like hearing that. People are like, "Oh, you should check out Horizon Call of the Mountain again because they've definitely improved it since launch." And I'm like, "No, they haven't."
Nope.
Like, no, they definitely haven't. But right, so there can definitely be a placebo effect, like if you pick up the Pro or something like that, and you want everything to look better. But I mean, good, like I hope they continue to improve Gran Turismo 7. It is a flagship title for PSVR2, and I mean, if this isn't convincing people to pick up a headset, I think very few games will. So. Yeah, they should be improving it in any way possible, constantly. It should be the No Man's Sky of racing games. We also got Ace, a gamer cat with the 1337 says, speaking of B haptics, they now have a game request channel on their Discord. Get in there and give your favorite games like No Man's Sky and LNF. What L?
And what?
LNF. 3 letters.
Light No Fire.
Oh, okay. Cool. That makes sense. I just was trying to think of games that were actually out. And I was like, oh. Yeah, that makes sense. Light No Fire, thumbs up. Devs are gauging interest. Do it, man.
I love that. I definitely want it for No Man's Sky, possibly more than anything else. But to be honest with you, it's so good with it already. Like, I'm fine with the audio to haptics. It could be slightly better with obviously native support, because native support just allows for that. Like, this is a truly like next gen feeling thing they can do with this. But yeah, there's a long list of games. I still want to see it from Madison, because I'm crazy.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying. Like, I don't know if I need that to be more immersive.
Yeah, but imagine if it was, Brian. Imagine.
Yeah, sure. Like, that's how I'm gonna die, AJ.
Mm.
Like, what happened
also,
to Brian? He died during a B haptics playthrough of Madison.
Yeah, they did such a good job with that, with the haptics, haptics and headset rumble. Throw in the vest with that too. Yeah, those jump scares. Oh my god.
We got Niles Ryan, the game feeler with the $5 tip, says, "Happy Monday, cats," spelled with a K.
My metal feline friend, thank you so much. Brian.
Yes, sir. Talk to me. Digame.
GameCat_photonutter says, voted Arkenage for the player's choice on the PS blog.
Well then, if Photonutter did it, then we should all do it. No, that's an excellent shout. Over on the PlayStation blog, as they do every month, they ask you to vote for the best new game of the previous month, and currently, Arkenage is on the list for January. So I'm going to bring up the page listing right here. There it is. Let's see what it's in competition against, AJ. Let's see the other games here that could possibly rival Arkenage. And I'm going to guarantee that that's the only VR game on the list, right? In alphabetical order, we got Arkenage, Citizen Sleeper 2, Dynasty Warriors Origins. Oh, we just lost AJ to Dynasty Warriors. Freedom Wars Remastered. I liked Freedom Wars on Vita. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Sniper Elite Resistance, Star Wars Episode 1, Sin Duality Echo of Ada. What are these games? Tales of Iron 2, Tales of Grace's F, The Stone Madness, Wuthering Waves. Oh, there's a new Ys game. I like Ys games. Ys Memoir, The Oath of Feldgana. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not. Yeah, vote for Arkenage.
Yeah, man. I think Ninja Gaiden 2 is gonna pose some pretty heavy competition there, possibly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, guys. I want to challenge us. I want to challenge the entire PSVR2 community to come together and try to make Arken Age the winner here. I think it would be the first time, I'm pretty sure it would be the first time like a native VR game won the thing. And I think it would really really help the PSVR2 community out if it were to win. It would be like get some people's attention, maybe get some, I think it would have a positive effect. So I really want to challenge everybody. Get out there, just click on it. It's literally 2 clicks. You click on the link, you click on the vote button. Okay, it's 3 clicks. You click on Arken Age, then you click on the vote button. 3 clicks.
But we'll do the first 2 clicks for you. We'll make it as easy as possible.
Third one, I got to start paying, huh? But I think it would be really cool. I do think this game deserves it. But I also think it could have a really awesome effect, a really positive impact to do this. It's a chance. Awesome. It's a chance for PSVR2 game to come out on top, where the competition is a little bit weaker than usual. And yeah, I want Sony executives to see that and be like, PSVR2 actually, got outvoted all these other people. So tell your friends to do it. Get all your friends to do it. Do it yourself. Do it from multiple IPs. Do it from everywhere you can. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, man.
I don't care. We're gonna cheat if we need to. We're gonna win this bitch.
Yeah, man. Sony will see it and then they'll go, "Oh, sweet. We should definitely make Call of the Mountain 2 now."
No.
We almost convinced
them. What have I done?
Bone in the chat says, "When will RE7 get a VR mode?" 2017. It's a PSVR 1 mode, but yeah. Which I'd be totally happy just getting that mode on PSVR 2. What are you going to do? Dead Ringer, the Game Cat, with the level 1 membership says, "Hey, you guys, happy Monday." Happy Monday to you too, Dead Ringer.
Dead Ringer, happy Monday. Shout out to the juniors.
To the little ringers.
Yes.
Dude, I feel like we've been calling them little ringers so long. There's no way in hell that they're still little ringers. Like they're like they're teenage ringers. They're off to college.
They're like, dude, we're in college now.
Right. Fortunately, we're still playing Fortnite. That's the important part.
And Eagle Flight.
Ooh, nice. All right, man. Let's take a look at a viewer takeover question that we got over on Discord. Guys, if you don't know, you can leave viewer takeover questions for us in the viewer takeover channel on the Without Parole Discord. It's free. You just leave the question there. And if it's a good question, maybe we'll answer it on the show, just like we are with Steve IRE. Writes #viewer takeover. I'm glad you're here for this one, AJ. Do you think VR is trying to run first before it can stand on its own 2 feet? Recent VR modes like Crisis and Halo are some of the best, if not the best, VR experiences out there, when these games weren't even made for VR. 20-year-old games that have sick stuff and full motion controls seem to be enough to deliver a far more compelling experience than games that are trying to do too much with interactivity when it's not necessary and can detract from the important bit, the game itself. AJ, you've played the Crisis VR mod, right? So you can speak to this.
Yes, and the original a long time ago.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. So this is a great question. Thank you, Steve IRE, for going and leaving a #viewer takeover question. Right. This kind of brings up the topic that we've, discussed many, many times. And I think it's a good time to quickly just address kind of like the state of VR and where it's at right now. And maybe what we think, just in our opinions, what could help. And hybrid games has long time been like one of the big things that we've said, like, this is the most practical, easiest way to get people into VR. It's likely less expensive than developing games from ground up. And yeah, I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of games that would really be awesome in VR and let people, especially with nostalgia for these games, get to experience these for the first time over again in a new way. And yeah, Crisis is a great VR mod, and it's not even like perfectly VR AF. All it is first, well, it is first person anyways, but it's got first person, and then it has motion controls. And it's got a little bit more interactive things to it, but really not much. Similar to like what you would find in like Resident Evil 4 in a way, or like some of the Resident Evil games. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good point here. And I do think that hybrid games are super important for the growth of VR.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's no comparison when you look at something like, I mean, listen, we all almost universally loved Arken, but man, like you can compare it to like, I mean, a PlayStation 2 game or a PlayStation 3 game. And a lot of those games have more depth from, again, 20 years ago or whatever it's been, 15 years ago. And so it's, we do it, whether we're conscious of it while we're playing the games or not, we have been sacrificing depth in games, right? Yeah. The progression systems aren't quite as big as the games we used to play. The worlds aren't quite as big as we used to play. There aren't as many NPCs delivering the story as the games we used to play. We are sacrificing in almost every single area of gaming. And so that's why we were so hyped about hybrid games. That's why Sony clearly thinks that hybrid games is the future, whether they're actively developing them or not. At one point, it was their strategy, which they apparently ditched, or they just weren't ready. And maybe we'll see something from that in the future. So yeah, listen, I don't agree with the last part of Steve Iore's statement. Like, I don't think that the interactivity detracts from VR games. I think that stuff is awesome.
That's what makes VR games good.
That's what makes VR games good. Absolutely.
Different.
Being able to interact with the world in different ways than you do. But you know what? Those are sacrifices I'm willing to make in order to get in order to get some of these older games into VR, right? You don't have to pick up everything on a desk. Like that might be your first inkling. It's always my first inkling is to go into a room, try to pick things up, be like, oh, all right, this game's not as interactive as I want it to be. No big deal. Let's move along. And you quickly forget about that stuff when the game is so good. Like all of these games that have, you said thousands of games, and that's not being hyperbolic. There are seriously thousands of amazing single A, double A, triple A games from the last 3 decades that would be amazing in VR as is. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, I think, I mean, obviously, there's VR has its strengths and weaknesses. It just has to deliver like a really memorable experience. And I think when it comes to full length games, I think the least amount of risk comes with hybrid games, especially with like popular IPs, existing titles, things like that. Like you say, you take Killzone, you put it in VR. I think that's going to get a lot of people's attention. Or Spider-Man, that's going to probably sell a lot of headsets. And I think that it's more of a risk for small studios, studios consisting of like 50 to 100 people, which is like kind of small, It's like, that's what I mean.
I mean, in the VR space, that's like massive.
I think but I think that's more risky for them right now to come out with something original, something that, is just trying something new. And those are actually where you find some of the best VR mechanics in games. But yeah, where it seems to lack is the content, the depth. There's always something that has to be sacrificed in order to be able to make this game because of the smaller team, smaller budget, things like that. And especially when trying to make a profit. The best teams that I think could stand to benefit from these just focusing on VR interactions and things are these small teams, these like 2-person teams, things like that. I think they have the most to gain. Something like a Super Hot or Beat Saber, these kinds of games, Gorilla Tag, they're like wildly successful, and they're just like small kind of small concept, but they deliver like a solid VR experience, something that makes people go, oh, like, yeah, this is why VR is awesome. But as far as like, yeah, as far as satisfying like gamers, yeah, hybrid games easily take the cake on here, especially PlayStation gamers.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with everything you said, and um, what's great is that Flat to VR Studios is kind of leading the charge on this. They're proving that there is a market for this stuff, and I would love to peek behind the curtain and see what kind of deals they're making with these studios. Like, I'm assuming that Flat to VR is taking all the risk, right? Being like, if it doesn't sell, we're losing a shitload of money on this. Meanwhile, they're just like licensing it from the original studio. But what I hope is that they are proving that this model is something that works, and so other studios like Flat to VR will pop up, start converting games into VR, start getting these big licenses, and bring more and more games into VR that need to be there. But also, they're also proving the market to the studios themselves, right? They're also proving the market to the people making the flat screen games to begin with, saying, hey, fucking get 2 people on your team that love VR. And while you're developing the game, have them there, making sure that it's also playable in VR at release. And so I do think that we're going to be looking, in 5 to 10 years at so many more games being in VR at launch from the studios themselves. And dude, I just want, the whole time I'm talking, I just want Judas in VR, right? Because like BioShock, I'm sure we'll get eventually, once Flat to VR is big enough, like maybe they'll do BioShock. But Ghost Story's new game is Judas, and it looks like BioShock. And I'm like, somebody fucking talk to them and make sure that Judas is VR when it comes out. That's all I gotta say. Judas.
Yeah. But yeah, in the meantime, it's still growing slowly. And yeah, there's been definitely a lot of missteps and a lot of things that are standing in the way of VR just exploding overnight. Things like, the price is expensive. It's really expensive. And then, yeah, like studio, like, the base is still kind of building up. And then, yeah, it's just like studios are struggling to turn profit. Even when a game is like critically well received, it's just a challenging situation. But I think I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's just going to keep growing, and whether that be from companies or not, VR has a path forward in some way.
Clark Bailey in the chat says BioShock VR would be the be all end all for me. I mean, that's like my most wanted game in VR. I think we've been talking about this for so long, right? That every time the conversation comes up, we think of 100 new games or 100 old games that we want in VR. BioShock's just the one for me. I think it's like everything else great. BioShock is. I'll be able to die happy once we get that. I'm excited. I'm excited for something that hasn't been announced yet. Wally is now GameCast, specifically White Tiger with Canadian $2 tip, says, I think Spider-Man VR is Sony's answer to Batman. I mean, that would be insane, right? Sony's so careful about motion sickness and making sure that everybody's comfortable while playing VR, and they've got all these, certification standards and comfort settings. And it's like Spider-Man just seems like such a gamble, at least in Sony's eyes. Right, because they've been so cautious up till now. It's like having people climb up walls and swing through cities. They've proven. I mean, we've got a couple of those tech demos. What was the last Spider-Man tech demo we got? That was basically you just kind of swung through Manhattan, and like there's a couple objectives to do along the way. I was like, listen,
No Way Home.
So No Way
Home Sweet Home. No, yeah, there was
awesome.
Home Sweet Home, No Way Home. I think it was Home Sweet Home.
Maybe. Also a greate PSVR 1 horror game. Just saying. But yeah, it's like, so it's sort of been proven, but man, with the Sony AAA budget behind it, that would be incredible.
Well, Sony has been, yeah. I mean, you look at their PSVR 1 days, and like they were really nailing it. I mean, stuff like Astrobot, Farpoint, Firewall, what else? Wipeout. It's like these proved to be pretty awesome, and people really liked them and played them, and they really took a step backwards with like their choices and decisions with like Call of the Mountain. Like I know a lot of people really like that game, but I think when people saw Horizon, they were expecting something more on par with a Horizon like experience, not a climbing game that was just like, you know, marketed as a Horizon game, and that was the big disappointment with that. So yeah, I don't like how Sony is a little too cautious about some of these things. Because yeah, it's like, what's the point if you're not going to deliver an amazing gameplay experience? Then what's the point? Like if you're gonna hold it back or limit it in any way possible. Blood and Truth, what, like, you know, again, last gen games had you jumping out of an exploding casino through glass window and catching a rail, like that was fun. Like it was super fun because of the lack of hand holding and stuff and limitations. It was like, you know, the limitations were more with the hardware, not with necessarily like the game design itself or the idea or the experience.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I wouldn't say like Sony was firing on all cylinders or anything last gen. You know, we got an amazing set of first party games, second party games. It was great, but they very seldom took risks with their first party IPs. And they took a very weird risk this time around with their first party IP, Horizon. Horizon is one of their best selling games or franchises ever. And they took a very strange risk with it. They're like, we're going to make a climbing game out of it instead of, as you said, delivering a full, true Horizon experience. Yeah. Dude, PSVR 1 was first demoed with a God of War game, right? They just kind of shoved God of War in there, and I said, look, you're Kratos in first person. That should have been what they focused on, right? They need to take more risk with their first party IPs, stuff that people recognize, stuff that will get people excited. You want to be Nathan Drake in VR? Fucking let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, PSVR Worlds probably would have been a lot more successful if, you know, don't get me wrong, like I loved part of PSVR Worlds, like Ocean Descent.
Sure.
You know, not Blood and Truth, but what was it called?
London Heist.
London Heist. But then imagine if the other games, besides like, you know, the Street Luge and that space game, imagine if the other games on there was like a God of War experience and a Spider-Man experience and an Uncharted experience. Yep. They could have gotten away with it like that. I think it would have been a lot more successful.
I think so too. All right, AJ, last week we got news that there was a change of leadership at Sony. And it was sort of something that I personally was like, sometimes I get so tired of talking about, you know, Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan and all these people.
Trust me too.
Yeah. and so I wanted to let it slide. And I was like, maybe if we don't talk about it, no one will bring it up. and then you were like, can we talk about this on GAMESCAST? And I was like, I guess. But honestly, the more I look into it and the more and the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, you know what, there is something here, and I think that there is reason to be hopeful. So let's quickly read through Eurogamer's article. It's entitled "Shake Up at Sony as New PlayStation CEO Announced." Herman Hulst and Hideki Nishino previously shared top roles since departure of Jim Ryan. This is by Tom Phillips, January 29th. Like I said, we're a little behind on this news, but it is time to talk about it. Tom writes, Hideki Nishino has become Sony Interactive Entertainment's sole CEO after a period of joint rule with PlayStation Studios boss Herman Hulst. Sony's reshuffle also comes with a new boss for the overall company, with veteran exec and former CFO Hiroki Totoki as now the company's overall CEO and president. Hulst, meanwhile, remained the boss of PlayStation Studios, now reporting to Nishino, rather than running Sony's gaming arm alongside of him. Both men shared leadership of PlayStation since last year's departure of former boss Jim Ryan, with Nishino focused on the company's business side while Hulst focused on overseeing the game development studios. Hulst will continue to look after the development, publishing, and business operations of SIE, first-party content, and will further work with Sony Pictures to adapt key PlayStation franchises into films and TV series. I'm truly honored to take the helm at Sony Interactive Entertainment, Nishino said in a statement. Technology and creativity are two of our biggest strengths as we continue to focus on developing experiences and deliver entertainment for everyone. We'll continue to grow the PlayStation community in new ways such as IP expansion while also delivering the best in technology innovation. AJ, the article continues, but I'd rather stop there because I feel like that is the quote I am reading this article for. I love hearing Nishino talk about technology and creativity, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think when we talk about the standard PlayStation 5 flat screen first party games, we really think of the words technology. We think of things like fidelity and AAA values and depth of gameplay, but we don't think of things like technology and creativity. Those are words that I think you use when talking about innovative areas of the gaming space like VR. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, beyond that, it's the technology that goes into the PS5 and, as well, things that sometimes bleed into the VR side as well.
Right.
But I 100% agree with what he's saying in that, obviously this is just like, standard speak, but I 100% agree that the strength of Sony has for many, many times been technology and creativity. That's what makes it fun and interesting to play on PlayStation for a while now, and the way they keep kind of pushing those boundaries. And that's why I've always liked it, is like, there's been lots of things that I feel like, oh, this feels like new. Like this doesn't feel like the same thing I've played a billion times over, which is easy to fall into because that does happen. But yeah, overall, like, this is the reason I want to talk about this, because this stuff is important. I think this does, whether it's directly or indirectly, have an impact on what we can expect, because what we mostly care about here is VR, right? And that's like Sony's kind of like smallest concern at the moment. But I want to see, like, I want to have like any sign that things can get better, things can change. And I'm just happy to see a massive change from the very, very top of Sony Entertainment, or Sony, with Hiroki Totoki, best name ever. He's replaced the other guy who I really wasn't that big of a fan of.
Because of his name?
The other guy, yeah, his name's not as cool as Hiroki.
Not
Totoki,
as cool.
so I didn't like him as much. So I like Totoki more, Totoki-san. But then also Hideki Nishino, obviously had a big part in developing. He's a hardware guy, and I like that. I like that he's a hardware guy, taking the sole CEO of SIE position. And then Herman Hulst has gone back down, sort of, to he's still kind of doing the same role. And that's the only thing where I was like, I'd like to see Herman Hulst just go back to being
forever.
No. Listen, I have mad respect for Herman Hulst. He at least, out of some of the other names, which I won't mention because I'll go into Hulk mode and just a blind rage, I at least have a lot of respect for Herman Hulst in some of the things he's done, from the Killzone franchise to Horizon, to working on helping develop like the sharpshooter controller. Like, he's done, I at least can see things he's done that have been pretty cool. The problem is, once he got above head of Guerrilla Games is where I think his weaknesses really started to show. Bad decision making, poor leadership, poor management, all those things. So honestly, it's hard. It's probably too difficult to get rid of him completely. I don't think I'd really want that, but I do like that he's at least reporting to Hideki Nishino now, who's calling his shots overall. But I would typically like to see Herman just back to the head of Guerrilla, because I think that's where he really shined, and I think he's seems like, anyways, he's a bit over his head. I don't get the vibe of him having good leadership skills to manage all of Sony's first party studios. I haven't seen it. I've seen pretty much the opposite, in fact.
Yeah, I don't get too worked up about changes in leadership. I'm always like, oh, there's so many moving parts and there's so many people that make decisions at Sony. It's very, very seldom that one or two people are going to make a big difference. But I do, because and I've seen a lot of comments from people saying, they're beholden to their investors, and so it's more like about what's going to make them money than really who's in charge. But I think we do have to remember that if PSVR2 is a priority, or at least something that one of these guys cares about, then they can make the case to the investors, the shareholders, the people that hold them accountable, and say, "Hey, listen, we've got to stick with this. We've got to be here in this market because VR is going to take off in the next few years. We've already given it so much time and money and R&D, and like, we are a name in the VR space, right? And so you don't want to just throw that all away just when it's all about to pay off, right? So you need somebody like these guys to convey that to the investors and say, listen, we know this division's not making very much money for us right now, but it's about to, and it's going to be a huge market moving forward. So I think it's all about conveying that message, and I think I think that this is the right guy to do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a better chance, at least. It's a better spot than where we were. It may not be a huge, improvement, but I do think it's slightly better. And yeah, I think I would love nothing more to see a PSVR 3 generation just hit the reset button, start again. Well, don't hit the reset button completely, but
we want backwards compatibility.
Yes, backwards compatibility is very, very important. But also like a more fleshed out headset, like more features. The thing about VR right now is like you have to, that's the thing. The strength of like Meta's headset right now is how versatile it is. It does all these different things. It plays games. It watches. You can watch movies. You can do AR. You can do the mixed reality thing. I think all these features are really important. Even though we're core gamers, we just care about the games. That's all we really need. I think if you're going to want to reach mass audiences, then you do need these additional features. And like I'd like to have these features. Like, even though games are what I care about first and foremost, hell yeah, I'd like some of these additional features as well. Just to even if I spend 5 minutes with them a week or something, it's like, well, they're there. I could at least enjoy them for a little bit, and some of them might be cool to show off to some other people. So I agree with you. I like Hideki Nishino being the sole CEO of SIE, Colin, being the top. But with Herman, man, like I said, I do have lots of respect for him. I'm not going to trash him like I do some other leadership, but he needs to improve his leadership skills, and like he needs to actually feel like he cares about these first party studios, the developers that are within them, the culture, the camaraderie, because so far what he has shown is not good. It's him showing up to Media Molecule and being like, I'm here visiting as a leadership move. He'll post once every 6 months on Twitter, and he's like, look here, I'm being a leader. And then the next day, Media Molecule closes down, or Dreams ends support. And it's like, well, now we know why you were actually there. Like Jim Ryan did the same thing, where he's got a picture of him showing off, hey, look, I'm at London studio having a chat with the team. Next day, London studio shut down completely. And this was all, mind you, due to the decisions that they made, not just Jim Ryan, but Herman Hulse as well, with this live service push. I will never understand why they ditched all the success they had with Sean Layden and Shuhei Yoshida. They were literally sold 120 PS4s. It's one of the best generations of PlayStation to exist. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna swap we're gonna demote them and swap stuff out because we see things differently. Like you said, maybe they were better at selling their pitch to the investors than Shuhei and whatnot did, but it was not the right decision, clearly. And I think the fans have been letting them have it. If you look at all the comments over this thing, everyone's like, there's not a lot of love for Herman right now. He needs to rectify that because he has the ability to. I do think he's got some good talent, some good vision, but all he's doing right now is forcing Horizon down everyone's throat. And not doing. He's worried more about labels than he is actually creating a good product. And yeah, quit trying to force Horizon down everyone's throat and just focus on making the gamers happy and giving them what they want.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's it's easy for us to be like, armchair quarterbacks and be like, this is how I would have done it.
Yeah,
but I think it's really difficult to run a multi-billion-dollar corporation that that has all these different first-party studios run beneath them, and that you've got to always kind of have your finger on the pulse and know where gaming's going. And I mean, I think a smart move would have been like, let's get some of these studios making live service games. But for it to be as extreme as it was, and for it to be the focus for so many of them, it seems absolutely ridiculous. So, they tried something, it didn't work, and now like PlayStation has been set back years in terms of, pushing out AAA single player narrative driven stuff that they've always been known for. But hopefully they're getting this shit together and we'll start seeing some stuff soon.
Yeah, it's the good thing here is that we finally at least have some stability. Like we have, okay, now we get to see them go to work and see what happens, right? Because the second half of last year is just the last year. 2024 is just a mess. Like it has just been a mess for the last couple of years between studios closing, layoffs, canceled IPs that are like hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds. I mean, maybe we're talking like up to probably $1 billion they lost. And yeah, it's like this generation has had a lot of really good things, I think, but it could have been so much better. So much better if they invested in the right things. And VR, I think, is one of those. Yes, VR is still small, but but yeah, I do think at some point VR is going to be a lot bigger than where it is. And if you can tack on an extra 5 million sales for every single flat game that you make, think about it, an additional 5 million sales or something. Like that's a big deal. That is something you should be exploring. And that's why I say again, with the hybrid games, why they're so important. You could make an additional 5 million people or more by these first party games. That's something they should really think about.
They should definitely think about it. And I really hope that they're developing some kind of tool set. We've seen it with the UE injector, that people can make tool sets for this kind of stuff. Sony should be developing their own tool set internally to help their own studios bring stuff into VR, facilitate the whole thing. Just like they don't want developers spending tons of time and money making their games Pro compatible, PS5 Pro compatible, and getting a benefit from that. They want the hardware to be doing most of the work. I think that's what they'd like for the VR stuff too, for the hybrids, for it not to be this additional 1 year thing with 20 people working around the clock on it, right? They want it to be cheap and easy, get it in VR, and then you can make your extra $5 million. We'll see.
But I think the change is good, and
yeah,
I think it's a minor improvement. Hopefully it becomes a much bigger one.
Alejandro D, 2-year underground stranger game cat with the level 3 membership, says it won't be Call of the Mountain 2. It'll be Call of the Mountain remastered.
Ugh. Ugh, you guys, stop it.
I mean, it actually makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to lie. Snafu, the $2 tip, says I would play every flat port with a DualSense. Yeah, I mean, there's a place for that for sure. If it was like Ratchet and Clank or whatever, if it was a platformer, I would totally be down. If it was a game that had first person interactions, I think I'd be inclined to play most of them again, like we were talking about before, with the most basic of VR interactions, right? Just walk up to an object and push the X button. It's like, you know what, that's close enough.
Yeah, the problem is that can wear off. I think it is cool to be able to just play a game and even if it's like third person VR, but yeah, I mean, I think you need to have the variety. I was definitely wrong about when I thought last gen, where I'm like, oh, next generation, every game needs to be first person and be super interactive. And that's obviously like a staple of VR. That's super important. But I think I was wrong, and I underestimated that sometimes the physical strain that can put on you. And it's like, yeah, like I also want to be able to just sit down and just play a game with a controller sometimes too. And especially if you're like super nostalgic for a game, yeah, like being in the world is super satisfying.
Oops, I missed something. Izzard with the level 1 membership says, so AAA games are bigger, but AAA batteries are smaller? He's going to get mad at me later for not delivering that properly. Scott, the PSVR game cap for life. Thank you, Izzard. Says, what's your favorite childhood game you want in VR? Oh my God. This should just be the topic of the show. We could talk about this all day. Childhood game, favorite childhood game that you want in VR. Well, I mean, what determines childhood? Like, do I have to be like what, under 12? I don't know where we start. Yeah, I mean, Maniac Mansion, does that count? I would love Maniac Mansion in VR.
Because of my little exploration into the PC realm, Brian, I have kind of played my childhood in VR because I can play Mega Man 2 and I can play Final Fantasy 7. So
yeah, but how cool would it be for it to have a first person viewpoint of Mega Man 2? You are Mega Man.
I've done it in dreams.
Okay.
And it's really, really cool. I'll tell you what I want the most, Brian, at this moment. This might be like, if I may indulge me a little bit.
The floor is yours, my friend. I'll put my feet
really want a Tron VR game. Like the one in Dreams.
Like not the light cycle one, like you want an actual Tron game?
I want an actual Tron game with like different levels, like, different modes. It's so good. It's so good in VR, and it makes Tron better than what it actually is, because it's not a very good movie. Okay, the second one was I watched Tron Legacy over the weekend, and it just reminded me how good Hypercycle Arena was in Dreams.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was like literally one of the best vehicular combat games I've ever played. And then what made it special also was like going outside of the arena, going to the Badlands. It was super cool. But I would love to see, I don't know, random as hell, I know, but I would love to see a Tron VR game. Like, why hasn't that happened already?
I don't know.
And the music was great in the second one. The music and the visuals in Tron Legacy are fantastic. I think the dialogue, the script, the acting, not very good, but the visuals, the music, atmosphere, so good.
Dude, I don't think I've seen Tron since I was like 5, and I never saw Legacy. Should I mean, it sounds like you're telling me I should probably watch it.
Watch it for the visuals and the music.
Yeah. Regos Pantalone says, I just played Dragon Quest 11 in VR. Thank you, AJ, for the UE VR video.
Regos, let's go.
This is what kills me. I would love to play Dragon Quest 11 in VR. Right? I would love it. Absolutely love it. It would be like the game of the year for me. Right? But instead, it's just like, oh, yeah, somebody's modding it. Like, no, get an official release.
Oh, awesome. Tatum says Castlevania in VR. Hell yeah, I am all about that, man. I would love a first-person Castlevania in VR. Ooh.
Grandpa's Barbecue or Game Cat with the Australian $2 tip says, oh boy, AJ's got a new Jim Ryan to hit on.
No, man.
Well, starting off a little bit better, at least.
Yeah. I'm trust me, I held my anger back a lot. I get really emotional and I go on like 10-minute rants. I apologize. But I just get really frustrated because it's not that I want Sony to be like successful for them to make money. I want them to be successful for me to get what I want, which is the games I want to play.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is who was it? Sassler was just telling me earlier today that an article came out that said by the end of this year, Meta will have spent over $100 billion on VR and AR, which is like, which they've been losing money on all of that. They sold, so many of their headsets at a loss, and it's just insane. Like we want Sony to be successful because we want them to have the kind of fuck you money that Meta has, and they can just like be like, oh yeah, somebody go make a Batman game. Like, all right, cool, right? It's like because Sony just doesn't have that kind of money. Like people don't understand. They think of Sony and they go, "Oh, fucking big multi-billion-dollar corporation." They do not have the same kind of fuck you money that Meta has. Meta has an infinite amount of money to do whatever they want with. They're just putting out new headsets all the time. They're just buying up studios. They're paying people to make games. Like it's just nonstop. Just like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like this is all gonna pay off for us eventually. But Sony doesn't have the ability to just waste billions of dollars and go, yeah, this will pay off eventually. They've got to play it way more safe. They've got to let Meta be the ones, doing this stuff in order to, wait for VR to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could. The thing we want to see them do is make better decisions with the limited resources and money that they have.
Yeah.
If you're going to dedicate something to a smaller group of people, at least give what that smaller group of people wants, instead of wasting resources and money and whatever that for something that nobody really wants anyways. But
I want experiences and exercise games. Sweet. I got everything I want.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I want wave shooters. Sorry.
No.
I'm just kidding. People take me too seriously.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's an interesting spot where we're at right now. It'll be interesting to see how it goes moving forward. I do want to see Sony get back to, I want the two biggest things I want to see them do, bring those big first party titles to PSVR2, bring those back. Astrobot, Blood and Truth, Farpoint, Wipeout.
Everybody's golf, but with multiplayer.
Bring those back, but then also bring back some new first party IPs too.
Yep.
Some new VR IPs. I see so many people talk about like they want a Last of Us VR. Sure, I don't care. Give me Last of Us VR. Give me something.
Yeah. I don't even want it to be a Last of Us spinoff, like some side story. I want it to be The Last of Us Part 1,
just in
remastered.
VR.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
First person. Let's do it.
Be pretty sweet.
AJ, Apple and Sony reportedly still working to bring PlayStation VR2 Sense controllers to support Vision Pro, from David Heaney today on Upload VR. If you guys were wondering whatever happened to that story about Apple wanting to use Sense controllers for their Apple Vision Pro, here's what you got. Let's see. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports, says Apple and Sony are still working to bring controllers, blah, blah, blah. Government has a relatively strong track record of reliability, reporting on Apple's product plans years in advance, and successfully described most of Apple Vision Pro's hardware and software before it was officially revealed. Gurman originally reported on the project back in December, saying that the company intended to announce the support weeks ago, but that the rollout has been postponed. My expectation is that an announcement will still come at some point, unless it gets abruptly scrapped, he wrote. Now, in his latest newsletter, Gurman says all signs point to this project still being in development, and he expects it to arrive in a Vision OS update later this year. According to his previous reporting, the update would include support for navigating the Vision OS interfaces with the PSVR2 Sense controllers, as well as using them in apps in games. AJ, this is sort of a nothing burger as far as news stories go, because this is sort of like, hey, remember that thing that we talked about a couple months ago? It's still happening.
It still might be happening.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, I think this is so important. It's so important that Sense controllers become available. The number of comments I get weekly from people just being so fucking pissed off that they can't replace their Sense controllers, or they're scared to break their current Sense controllers because they don't have a backup pair. I get messages like this literally every week, AJ, and it's ridiculous.
I get them too.
Yeah. Oh well, fine. Be that way. I guess I'm not as. I guess you're as special as I am. I don't know.
No, I just get them too.
Okay. No, I mean it's just it's so dumb. Like I don't understand why this is even a thing, and why it's going to require Apple to bring us something that we should have had already.
Yeah, we definitely should have had that already. But if they found a way to monetize giving us what we should have already had, sure, good for them.
Karina in the chat says, "Why are my messages disappearing?" I don't know. because they're scrolling off the screen. They're going up and they're going off. That's how. Yeah, I'm just being a dick. Somebody. Cool. Well, I get nothing else to say about this, and which is ridiculous because it was a headline on GamesCast. So let's move along. Which I love it, man. Whenever we headline with something, it ends up being the least interesting part of the show. It's the fun conversations we didn't even think we were gonna have that end up being the most interesting parts.
Of course.
That works for me, though. That works for me. Which brings us to our next news story. It is that a state of play is supposedly happening next week, and I'm sure everybody is always sick of these. Tell me in the chat if you're sick of this. Right?
It's been a
seems
while.
like it's been a while. Damn it. Seems like it's constant, AJ, where he's like, oh yeah, there's a new this leaker says that there's a state of play or a showcase happening this month or next week or whatever. And it's just it feels like it's nonstop. I feel like we're constantly prepping for state of plays, and then like, we get like one here and there. But this leaker supposedly is pretty accurate with his leaks. And he teased that it could be happening next week, close to Valentine's Day. First of all, AJ, before we even talk about whether, what games we think might be there or any of our predictions, do you think we're getting a state of play next week?
I don't see why not. Like, I could definitely see one happening this month. But yeah, it seems like it's been some time, Brian.
I'd say it's been a little bit. Been a little bit.
I think it's been long enough to where, yeah, I mean, usually once things start ramping up again, they like to kick things off with the state of play or a showcase or something, and I think it's pretty due for that. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I always get really excited for these things, and I think for the last couple. I mean, well, because there's always something, right?
Yeah. Last year we had the announcement of Legendary Tales and Metro Awakening, so it was significant.
And when did they show off the clip of the Midnight Walk? Was that during a state of play?
Yeah, it was the last state of play, I think.
Yeah, so I feel like
that wasn't in February though.
No. But no, I'm just saying. You asked why I get excited for these things. And it's because I think they're getting better in terms of like making sure that there's VR announcements. Right? It seems like we're getting 2 to 3 per state of play, which, I mean, considering the number of sales comparatively, PSVR2 headsets to PlayStation 5 consoles, that's way more than we should probably be getting. I mean, it's as much. I think it's a good number to make sure they don't overdo it or underdo it. I think it's a nice happy medium.
Last year's state of play was January 31st.
Okay. So yeah, we're right in line. And for the last couple of weeks, and I think the year before and the year before that, there were also state of plays like right around that time. So this is kind of falling right in line with Sony's track record of putting out state of play. So I do think there's something to this. I've sort of been waiting for the last couple of weeks for there to be an announcement. So let's operate under the assumption that this is real and that it's actually happening. What do you expect to see there, AJ? And what do you hope to see there? Two very different questions.
I expect to see kind of more like maybe smaller, lower key announcements. Stuff that's gonna probably look cool and be, look pretty decent. But I don't expect any like gonna blow you away stuff. But here's the thing, man, is that this is also the month that PSVR2 was released. Came out February 22nd, 2023. God, why'd they wait so long? So in terms of like what we could see for VR, yeah, I could see some stuff, some VR stuff, maybe some smaller things here and there. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bigger VR related announcement kind of day for right around the 22nd.
Like a PlayStation VR spotlight like they like to do on the PlayStation blog. Like,
yeah, last year they did a big, they announced like 5 different games or something, and then and then also announced that they were working on PC support, which was a big deal. But yeah, I would love to see some VR games showcased here, and I think it's about time. I feel like we say this every time, but some of these games like Aces of Thunder, like we're still waiting. I feel like we're still waiting for Aces of Thunder to get like an official announcement. Maybe it's a little bit too early for that.
Well, let's talk about Aces of Thunder for a second, because I feel like what's been happening with Aces of Thunder recently is that they keep sort of drip feeding us information, and not even through Sony's official channels. It's through Gaijin Entertainment themselves. It's through their Instagram. It's through their Facebook. It's through their Twitter account. And it's like, hey, here's a little video of something fucking amazing. Like here's awesome new planes, or here's like some information that like you didn't know before, like that there's single player missions, right? And they keep drip feeding us this stuff in like the least exciting way possible. Right, because it's like not through State of Plays, and it's not videos on Sony's official YouTube channel, and it's them doing it themselves, and so they're obviously excited for the stuff that they're adding to the game. But there's got to be a reason why they're doing it and Sony's not doing it, and my guess is that they're leading up to a big thing on Sony's official channels, which is likely to be a new trailer that includes all the stuff we've been drip fed over the last year, right? All these cool VRAF little montages of you controlling some of the stuff in the planes with your hands, turning dials, pulling levers, that kind of stuff. The fact, all the new planes and everything that they've shown, the World War I stuff. I think it's time for a new trailer and a release date. That's, I think, the safe bet. AJ, I think the safe bet is they give us that. I think the overly optimistic bet is that they give us that and they say, and it's available right now. This game is out today.
No, I think, yeah. I mean, that would be awesome.
It was supposed to come out like Q4, I believe, right? It was supposed to come out late last year. And now here we are. We're getting into, the second month into 2025. And, we still don't have an updated release window. I feel like they're waiting on Sony to do this. I feel like Sony's the one that wants to announce it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's still not ready yet, but it would be awesome to have that announcement. But I'll take anything, man. Like I'll take, anything that looks good. I'm hoping that there's some cool, big new IPs and games that are announced. Like I want to see some new stuff. We already know Aces of Thunder is coming. While I do think that needs to be showcased on the main stage, because that's generating way more interest than something like Call of the Mountain did. That does need to be, it does need to get its flowers, its big announcement, its spotlight. I think new stuff needs to be shown as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Legendary Tales was shown off at one of these things, right?
Yeah, literally around the same time, January 31st. Last
right.
year.
So I mean, listen, Legendary Tales in Metro. Right. I mean, I think we could fully expect to see something else like Legendary Tales, like something that Sony has funded, a small team that's doing great work, and something that PlayStation VR2 gamers specifically are unfamiliar with, that maybe has been floating around in early access for a little while. I definitely think we could see something similar to this again. There's so many of these studios that have, working around the clock, trying to like get their game out of early access and just whatever. It seems like it was a success, right? Like this topped the charts of the PSVR2 sales the month it came out. Even at the price that it came out at, which was $55. So a lot of people thought that was really expensive. So it seems like it was a gamble that paid off for Sony. And I would be shocked if they weren't willing to do it again. Find another studio that could use a little support, use a little bit of money, and kind of push them towards getting out of early access and simultaneously releasing on PSVR 2. And I don't know, I don't have a game in mind, right? But there's plenty of them.
Yep, I think there'll be some some stuff that is just like, that looks cool, sure. And then we'll just wait. I feel like maybe closer to the anniversary we'll get some better stuff, but I don't know. State of Play is a big profile thing. That's the place where they like to announce big, well-known IPs. I think that is the best place to do it, whether it be Aces of Thunder or the next big game based off of a popular IP. That's probably the best stage for that. And then, but I think it should be an exciting month on paper. Obviously, there's still things. The dust is still kind of settling at Sony. The new leadership doesn't even go into effect until next month, or no, April 1st, I think. So it's like, it's just they're still in reset transition mode, and like anything can really happen at this point.
You know what? Looper the Underground Game Cat in the chat says Grimlord. Maybe PSVR2 gamers are not familiar with Grimlord, but Grimlord, again, I don't know if
shocked. I'd be shocked because they just
what?
It's so rare. It just seems rare that they would be in touch with some developer that's like, the only reason people know about it is because of it's on PC, early access, things like that. Again, stranger things have happened. We did get Legendary Tales announced at State of Play, but that was kind of like a rare case. There were some smaller things like Foglands and some other things that were smaller. But typically, I feel like a lot of times Sony has something invested in the game a little bit, whether it be just helping with the marketing or some kind of funding. But I don't know if they have any involvement with the Grimlord people.
Yeah, I don't know either. I will say though, again, and this is like the second or third time I've said this, and still not totally sure if I'm supposed to. We're just gonna roll with it. Grimlord was supposed to be out on PSVR2 holiday 2024.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, again, very unofficially, I want to say that the team, is it Metal Cat that makes Grimlord?
Yeah,
told me in like early 2024 or late 2023 that they're like, yeah, we're planning on having it out for holiday 2024. And I was like, okay. Awesome. I'll be back in touch with you guys later. And then like, no word. Like not even I don't even think they've officially announced that they're doing a PSVR2 port, right? But they are. And it's like, where is it? Again, it would be a little strange for Sony to be like, oh yeah, here, we're going to help Legendary Tales and we're going to help Grimlord, two games that at least on the surface seem very similar, right? It's like, all right, like this, diversify a little bit. Sony, bring us.
I don't know. They sure make a lot of horror and shooters.
Bro, here I am saying I don't think they ever even announced it for PSVR 2. It's in the goddamn trailer that I'm playing right now. It says PS5 and PlayStation VR 2 in this like alpha trailer from like a year or two ago. So apparently they announced it forever ago. Now I feel
they
great.
Did, but they didn't. I don't think they. Yeah, I mean they announced that they want to bring it to PSVR 2, but I don't think there hasn't been like a lot of movement on that. I think they're still just getting the PC VR version up and running.
Yeah,
they're doing that thing that we love where they do all the testing and everything, feedback on PC, right. and then they bring us a full, completed, polished product, which I like that.
I can't believe I don't know how many times this trailer has played while I'm sitting in front of me, like I'm watching it, and the logo for PSVR 2 is like great. It's like, oh, great, awesome. Anyway, listen. The great thing is that there's an infinite number of possibilities of things that we could see in the State of Play, and I love that, man. Like, there's so many studios. There's more studios now today making games than ever before, and so there's a ton of options, and so hopefully Sony doesn't screw it up, and they help bring over some really good ones. I don't know what else we'd see. I think the fact that you brought up the PlayStation VR Spotlight earlier sort of pulls back some of the thoughts I had previously, right? Because if there's a PSVR 2 Spotlight for the anniversary, right? Usually that's like updates on certain games that are coming out. Like there's like 2 or 3 updates on games we already knew about. One new announcement that tends to be like a Quest port. It's like, oh, it's out today. And then like maybe one bigger game announcement. And I could definitely see that being, oh hey, here's an update on Hitman or Wanderer or whatever, right? Here's a bunch of games that it could be. So that pulls those games out of the state of play for me.
Yep. They got to get their bigger games on that big stage.
Yep.
And do the smaller stuff on the blog.
Yep. Samo says Ghost of Tabor. Yeah, like it's Ghost of Tabor carries a ton of weight. That name carries a ton of weight in the VR space. Quest gamers are fanatical about it. PC gamers are fanatical about it. PSVR2 gamers, if they haven't tried other headsets, then all they've heard is, you've got to fucking play this game. And so that it could actually, that name alone could make it worthy of being in a state of play.
Yeah, we did it. I mean, we've had some big surprises too. Remember last time, I think it was like the Midnight Walk, and then Hitman. Like, right? Like, I don't know. Like, Hitman was like, what? That was crazy. Like, nobody expected that. So, you never know. I think it's so random right now. It's really hard to predict.
Yeah, I remember when we got the Hitman trailer, right? And like, and for a week, everyone stopped complaining about PlayStation and PSVR2. They were like, oh my God, they've done it. Oh, this is great. It's amazing. Right? Midnight Walk, Hitman. It's like, oh, they're firing on all cylinders. A week later, they're like, Sony sucks. It was like, everyone shut up about PSVR2 for just a minute because we were all very, very happy knowing that there was a lot of good stuff coming. It's fun to watch.
PSVR2 or PSVR never gets its flowers where deserved.
Nope. Definitely not. AJ.
Flying.
Let's start wrapping this thing up. Let's play a game of 4-minute challenge. You are the host this week, which terrifies me to no end, which means for anyone who doesn't know, AJ's picked a PSVR 1 or PSVR 2 game, and we have to guess what game he's thinking of. We've got an infinite number of yes or no questions, but only 4 minutes to guess them in. I need all the help I can get. All the help. Oh, Rypop is so fucking right. It's definitely going to be Secret of the Mimic, that FNAF game, at because they're obviously involved in the port of that, at least in the funding, right? I think we're gonna see Secret, maybe get a release date for Secret of the Mimic or something like that. Yeah, good call, Rypop. Thanks for being here. All right, guys,
good call, Rypop. Except you're always wrong. I'm just
right. Hey, Rypop's been saying that this data play is coming for the last month. He pays
says
attention.
that he says that every month. Broken clock is right twice a day, guys.
It's an excellent one.
Look it up. Test it. Break your clock and find out.
I don't know. When my clock breaks, it flashes 12 o'clock, and then a minute later it starts flashing 12:01, and then 12:02. So it's constantly wrong all day unless it broke at noon or midnight. I'm very confused. Yeah. What are we doing? Oh yeah. All right, guys, help me out. I need all the help I can get. Let's put 4 minutes up on the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it. I can't spell minute, so this thing's not showing up. On my mark. Get Des. Go. Is this a PSVR 1 game?
Yes.
Is it on PSVR 2?
No.
Is it on Quest or Steam VR?
Yes. Was that 2 questions or 1?
It doesn't matter.
No and yes.
It's not on Quest. It is on Steam. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Steam, not Quest.
I've been nice to you lately. Okay. Last couple times I've been doing.
Stop PSVR talking. This is my time. My turn. This is my time down here, AJ.
Your time right here.
Is it do you shoot a lot of guns in this game?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Do you have other weapons?
Yeah.
Bows and arrows?
No.
Melee weapons, swords, etc.
Yeah.
Okay. Guns, melee, good enough. We'll run with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Is it horror?
No.
Sorry, Markio. Does it have survival elements?
No.
Sorry, Markio. Is it in a familiar place? Is it part of an IP that we're familiar with?
Some people.
What?
Is it based off a popular IP, Brian?
Is it based on an IP? Does that
it's definitely it's based on an IP, yes.
Okay, good. Woo. Okay. Did we mention it during today's show?
No.
Okay. Let's see. Is it do you do a lot of sniping in this game? Are you a sniper? Sometimes a sniper?
I don't recall any sniping in this, but there could
not
be.
Sniper Elite. Let's move along. Is it
It's definitely not Sniper Elite.
40's wondering if it's got realistic visuals.
No.
Cartoony visuals?
No.
Does it have visuals?
Yes.
Okay, so unrealistic but not cartoony. Is that what we're saying? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the safest thing to answer. Although technically it could be kind of cartoony a little bit, but no, I'd say it's somewhere in between.
Okay. All right. Is the studio that brought this to PSVR1 still in business?
Yes.
It's not Doom 3 wrap up. Can you play this on the flat screen?
Actually, I only know the publisher because I have trouble seeing who developed this. Yeah, I think you can play it flat as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It looks like yeah, there's a couple developers on this, so I don't really know.
All right. Is this a Doom game?
No.
Okay, well that takes care of that. Is this a Borderlands game?
No.
Okay. Is this a game that was originally developed by Sega?
No.
It's not Gungrave either. Goddamn. Okay. God. Okay. But it's based on an IP. It's part of an IP. So we gotta get this. Are you in vehicles?
Yes.
You're in vehicles. You're in vehicles, and there's guns, and there's melee combat, guys. This is crazy. Is it a separate purchase for flat in VR?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Crap. I am running out of options here. Anybody got a suggestion for me? I've got like nothing. I got 5 seconds left. All right. Is it LA Noire, the VR case files?
No, it is not. The chat was getting the chat was hot, really, really hot with their last picks here. Very, very close, guys. But released September 4th, 2018 by Konami.
Oh my God, it's Zone of the Enders
Entertainment.
2.
It is the PS2 remake of Zone of the Enders, the second runner, Mars.
Oh my God.
On sale for $6 right now. DualShock only, playing a mech, melee combat, shooting. I don't think there's sniping in it.
It's like it wouldn't have helped me even if there is.
That's a tough one. I know. I'm sorry.
That's great. That is great, dude. I mean, I played Zone of the Enders 1 and 2 on PlayStation 2. I was a fan of the series. I played this the second it came out on PSVR 1. This absolutely should have been up here somewhere.
Yeah. You guys were so. I think if you had more time, you would have gotten there. When you said
maybe,
yeah. When you said, is it vehicle or something like that? You said something, and I was like, oh man, like you're so you were getting really, really close. I think you just. Yep. I think time was your enemy here.
Time was definitely my enemy. There was you were AJing the fuck out of some of these questions, and so I am definitely passing some of the blame on to you. But also, by the time I got vehicles, I think we only had like less than a minute left, so it was the crunch was on big time.
Yeah, anime is cartoony, says Looper the Game Cat. Yeah, it has anime in it, but it's not entirely anime.
Yeah, this is a tough one because it's like it's realistically cell shaded.
It was really tough with that one. I was like,
Yeah. I agree with you. I do not fault you for any of this. I love that there are people who are a little bit behind still offering suggestions in the chat. Like you guys are gonna get caught up soon enough. Second time it's been picked, according to Looper. The first time was December 6th, 2021. To me again, but last time I guessed it in 19 questions.
Wow, buzzer beater.
Yeah, craziness. All right, it is time. We're gonna get out of here. Let's just double check and make sure that we hit all the tips. Here we go. We got Grandpa's Barbecue or Game Cat with the Australian $5 tip says incorrect. Nothing big for VR in next state of play, AJ. Huge announcement will be Microsoft's Fable getting a VR version 6 months after initial release.
What?
Here's, oh man. I love the second they announced that like Forza Horizon was coming to PSVR. No, let's try that again. The second they announced that Forza Horizon is coming to PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh my God, it'd be so amazing in VR. And it was like, it would be. Don't get me wrong. But don't you think like there's no chance in hell, right? That Xbox and Microsoft is going to allow the far, far, far superior version with VR support to come to PlayStation 5. Like, it's just not going to happen. We're going to get it. We're going to get a bare bones port and we'll be like, there you go.
Yeah.
Not bare bones.
They're doing this because they need money. They're not doing this because they're like, oh, sharing is caring. No, they're fucking dying of money right now and they need to help. But that being said, I do wish because I think Forza might have been the first. No, it wasn't the first game. It was like the second game I ever liked on Xbox. It's really good. Actually, yeah, it was the first racing game I enjoyed since like the PS3. It was it's a great open world arcade racer.
Nice. I mean, listen, my niece and nephew love it, and so I've seen a lot of it. It looks amazing. I would love a PSVR2 version. I don't think it's happening. Super Nintendo Chalmers with the $2 tip says, any chance RE9 announcement at State of Play? Okay, so I was thinking about Resident Evil 9 the entire time we were talking about the State of Play. Is that someplace they would announce a game like that? Or I feel like that's a place where they would announce the VR version after they've shown it off in a showcase, after they've made the official announcement, after Capcom has made the official announcement about the game coming. I think a State of Play would be like, hey, remember that Resident Evil 9 trailer you saw earlier? Well, guess what? It's also coming to PSVR 2 later on.
No, Brian.
What's up?
Incorrect. What they would do, they would totally announce Resident Evil 9. They totally could. And then there'll be a 2-second teaser after it that goes VR mode also in development.
Right. That's what
then
happened with
RE4. And then it get removed.
Right. It's like they just wipe it from the internet and they're like, oh my God, they were just kidding. What? But so did that happen in a State of Play where like the game got announced and then we got that little thing at the end? Okay, so then
that was a State of Play. That was the first State of Play that showed PSVR 2 games.
Okay, so I mean that's possible then, right?
Yeah, and cool. And I think they announced, and they announced Resident Evil 4 and the VR mode at the same time.
Right. So who knows? We are overdue for a RE9 reveal. It'd be amazing.
I think it's about that time. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think RE9's even coming out this year, or do you think it's gonna be 2026?
I have no idea. If it's coming out this year, then bless them, because it feels like RE4 just came out to me.
I mean, I just finished the review for RE4 like a couple months ago, so that it feels that way to me too.
I would love to. I think an announcement is, you can do an announcement anytime pretty much.
Yeah. Well, sounds good. Fingers crossed. Can't wait for the official announcement of the State of Play. I'm assuming
maybe coming fall, if anything, coming this fall.
Yeah. That works. We'll see what happens. Cool. Dude, let's get out of here, man. Thanks for being here for another great show, AJ. Always appreciate it. Thank you guys out there for being here. Appreciate everybody who helps the channel run, from all my mods to Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry. That's what I was trying to say, AJ. Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who hasn't done the timestamps for this channel in like a year. That's who I was trying to give a shout out to. Let's try it again. How about Rhodey, the Game Cat Army General, who's doing the timestamps for tonight's show? They'll be a little bit late. He already told me. Also, Pop for putting this up on podcast services of your choice. Thanks everybody who supports the channel financially over on patreon.com/without parole games. Look, AJ, it's a new Patreon. Scroll down there. Crazy, right?
Ooh,
it hadn't been updated. It hadn't been updated since like the end of September or something. I finally did it. Patreon.com/without parole games. Thanks for being a member over here. Thanks for tipping during the show. That all really helps and helps keep the lights on. I appreciate it. But we're just happy that you're here. We're just happy that you're part of the community, hanging out here during the show, hanging out over on our Discord. Click the link in the description below. Come hang out with the best VR community on the face of the planet. You guys are awesome. And everybody who hangs out, watches the show. I'm dragging this fucking out big time today, AJ. Dragging it out. Like dargening it out almost. Not just dragoning it out. I'm losing my mind, man. I need
Kill the motherfucking cat, Brian, because I want to say, see you guys on Wednesday to Awesome Tatum in the house tonight. Him and Alex Blanco having a conversation about something. Lucky Richards, bye! Mischievous Marco, the underground Game Cat says, later, Game Cat. Cuter Cat already did my friend Salvador in the house tonight says, peace out, everyone. Game Cat _ photo nutter. Whatever he says, we must do. Oh, he says, don't miss voting Arkenage. You see, it's true. The legend. The legend of the photo nutter is true. Go vote for Arkenage in the PS blog, you guys. Tell your friends to. Get your friends to do it. Get your mom to do it. Get your parents or your get grandpappy and your kids. Otherwise you're a bad parent. Magic the Game Cat says AJ Attack. Trip Men Gaming Network says tickle me. Tickle him, Brian. Gecko Man. Gecko Man 11. The Game Cat, adios, homie. Virtual Strangers in the house tonight. What is up, Virtual Strangers? Wes, so good to see you. Dropping the wall meat in the chat. Isn't wall meat so much? Isn't it the greatest?
It is.
Bebito Ramos, Blue Heart. Back to you, my friend. Alejembe D2Y, Underground Stranger, Game Cat, Elitist Name Squad in the house. Who's gonna top Alejembre one day? Shapeshifter, the Anomaly Game Cat, the Animorph Game Cat, as I like to call him. Remember Animorphs? Yeah. Scott, the PSVR Game Cat for life, in the house tonight. Says, don't forget to hit the like button and the link for Arkenage. Let's go, guys. You guys are on it. The Fenner, PSVR2, my boy. What is up, man? Says, my boys, we out. So good to see you, man. Long time PSVR aficionado. Cat GPT _ the AI Game Pat. says hi, West. Also bye.
Have we been? Go ahead.
Karina, thank you so much. Says Bambino, he always calls you out. He has a thing for you, methinks. I do. I love Bambino Ramos.
Listen, Karina, you show up at a Game Cat meetup, we'll give you a shout out every time too. Okay? Yeah. He's part of an elite squad.
William Saloka, thank you so much, man.
God, still going.
DTB VODs, Organ 1X, Game Cat Behemoth, happy fucking birthday, bro. Dan Kiefer, Snafu, Alex Blanco, Awesome Tatum. We got a lot of friends.
I go to bed every Monday night with a headache, and now I know why.
Okay, I'm good.
Have we been saying Alejembre decatalogic? There's no R. It's Alejembe.
I think I always say Alejembe.
No, I listened because when I saw it, I was like, oh wait, and then immediately after you said Alejembre. You tell us in the chat, and you tell us what we say, because I feel like we've been getting it wrong for years now. Years. Yep.
I know I've gotten it right a couple times.
Bro, is Cat GPT the AI Game Pat? That's got to be a new Game Cat name change, right?
That is definitely one.
Bro, hashtag GameCat in the comments below any Without Parole video to let us know if you change your name to something the GameCat. We'll give you a shout out on next Monday's show. We haven't got a GameCat name change in a little bit. Let's fucking do it. Good night, everybody. We love you all.
You go.
See, Rad Boy says you say the R. Rad Boy says it. You say the R every time.
Boom.
He's Alejandra.
Snitches get stitches, Rad Boy.
You best be watching your back.
You better sleep with one eye open tonight, Rad Boy. I'm just kidding. I love you.
Gripping your pillow tight.
I would only sneak into your house and watch over you in your bed and hug you.
Bro,
in your sleep.
We have no idea how old Rad Boy is. We better fucking
end That's a good point.
Now.
Bye.
We love you.
Change your name to Rad Man, please.